Okay, I'm doing an RTR draft here. We've opened I think, a fairly interesting pack. We have, I think, as options the Armed and Dangerous, the Putrefy, um, and then also the First Player, or of course the Guildgate. I think here probably the strongest cards in the pack are probably either the Putrefy or the Armed and Dangerous. Again, I'm not quite sure where this is in the pick orders. Um, But I think here I'm probably more inclined to take the Putrefy over the Armed and Dangerous. Let me just check this again. Yeah, so I'm going to take the Putrefy here. I'm not entirely sure it's the correct pick, but I think it's probably the most powerful card in the pack. Okay, so right, so some other options here then. The card that's been taken has been a common. Um, okay, so the strongest cards in the pack then are the Warped Physique, um, and then actually I think it's probably the only really strong card in this pack. Again, options with the Guildgate or Thrashing Mossdog. I don't think the Gatekeeper is something that you want to pick second. So I think I'm going to take the Warp Physique here, and I think that puts us into Simic / Gorgari, and also possibly into a 4 or 5 color control Guildgate deck. So I guess we'll see how late the Guildgates are going in this particular draft. It can vary. Sometimes they go relatively soon, and other times no one drafts that deck, and it's pretty good. Here then, the options are, um, again, I think Guildgates are generally higher picks than the Gatekeepers. These cards most of the time will come around later, so you don't really want to pick these early. You want to get the Guildgates first. The strongest card in the pack is Tithe Drinker, by far. And it's just a question here of whether or not I want to take the strongest card or the card that's probably going to make it into a 4 or 5 color Guildgate deck. Yes, this pick is fairly close, but I think I'm more inclined to take the Tithe Drinker maybe at this point. Yeah, I think perhaps just taking the strongest card over the Guildgate is probably the right pick here. Okay, so wow, so we are getting these Guildgates really late. We do have the option here then of breaking and entering, which I don't think is a particularly strong card and not really something you want to pick fourth. The strongest card in the pack are the Sin Collector, the Gatekeeper, and the Guildgate again. Here, I think I'm probably going to take the Sin Collector. Again, it's looking likely that Orzhov is going to be open in the rest of this draft. So I'm going to take this and then either look to continue drafting Orzhov and then splashing the green or the blue, or we may end up getting more Guildgates in the next few picks. But I think Sin Collector is probably the better card here to take. Okay, so the Guildgate has gone. The options then are, I think it's really between these 3 cards. The Gatekeeper again is going to be good if we can get some Guildgates. At this point, I would suspect the person on our right is not drafting the Guildgate deck, but is taking Guildgates that are in his colours. So I'm not sure how good the Gatekeeper is going to be. The Mastiff would be good if we're going to play an aggressive Orzhov deck, if we are base white. And then the Maze Glider is probably the best card for a just a general control deck. But here I think I'm going to take the Gatekeepers, on the understanding that if we do go Orzhov, well, we can still play this card, and if I think it just covers more bases than the 2-drop. Okay, so we're still getting these Guildgates coming around. Pilfered Plan is also a very good card in its own right. Again, this is another very close pick. It could easily be either of these two cards. And I think here, I think I'm probably more inclined to take the Pilfered Plans. If you are blue-black, Pilfered Plans is the first pick common in Dragon's Maze, and here it looks like we're going to be drafting Esper. So I am going to take the Pilfered Plans, and yeah, I am going to draft that particular card here. I think it's just generally stronger. Right, there's nothing really that we want in this pack. I guess the options are either to rare draft the Plasm Capture or to take the Corrositor Gorgon. As much as I want to rare draft this card, I think we still could end up in a 4-color deck. We do have the Putrefy that we might want to use, so I am going to take the Gorgon deck. It's not looking likely we're going to draft 4-color because we've been passing up Guildgates, so I think though that this is still worth taking. I'm not taking the Cluestone because I do expect the Cluestones to come around a lot later, and I think this card is just far higher than a Cluestone. Here then we do have again some other options. We have the Cluestones again, or we have the Opal Lake Gatekeepers. I'm going to take the Gatekeeper again just because it's going to make any close picks with Guildgates in future packs a lot closer. So we may luck out and get some more Guildgates in the next few packs, and I think again we're going to get more Cluestones coming around in the last 4 and 5 picks, so I think this card's probably better. Okay, so again we have the option of a Render Silent, which is again relatively good rare draft, but here I'm just going to take the Gatekeepers. Yeah, I'm going to take the Gatekeepers. Again, we haven't got any Guildgates yet, but I think with 3 Gatekeepers now, it is going to push up the Guildgates in our pick orders, and we've already got some really strong cards in our deck. So I think going maybe in pack 3, we can afford to draft Guildgates higher. I think currently what I'm looking to do is maybe draft Orzhov in pack 2. Sorry, one second. I'm going to take... This is relatively close. I don't have any red cards yet, so I'm not really incentivized to take the Cluestone. I think I'm going to take the Debt to the Deathless. I haven't played with this card, but it does seem like it would be decent in a control mirror. Here, though, I think I'm going to take the Dimir Cluestone over the second copy of Debt to the Deathless. Okay, and probably this Young Cover Clues. I'm going to round this pack out now. So, yeah, what I was saying before is I think in pack 2 I'm going to be drafting the Orzhov cards quite highly, and then in pack 3 I don't think Azorius is going to add much to our draft, so I will probably end up taking the Guildgates higher, which might make these Gatekeepers playable. Oh, okay, so drafting the Orzhov plan seems to have worked out well for us, opening Ghost Cancel. So yeah, I guess that's what we're doing. Nothing else that we want to take here. We may end up getting... I don't think we're going to get anything on anything that we want tabled. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, well... Yeah, I don't think we're really going to get anything on the bounce, but this is a good open for us. Okay, so here we have a few options. Well, we're not. I don't think we're going to be in heavy enough blue to justify having Cloudfin Raptor. We're not really going to be able to cast this on turn 1 very often. Normally, I would take Prophetic Prism over a Guildgate in a deck without Gatekeepers, but here I think the Guildgate is the pick. If we did have more Guildgates already, I may be inclined to take Urban Evolution, but I think now that we've opened Ghost Council, I think we are pretty much set on Esper rather than a 4-color deck. So yeah, I'm going to take the Guildgate here. And I think I'm going to follow that pickup with the second Guildgate over the Basiliska Screecher. Again, for much the same reason, I think we do want this card in our deck, but I think this card is going to make our deck a lot better, and it's going to allow us to potentially play these 4 drops. So Guildgate is the pick here. Right, okay, well, this pick is actually not that close. The only issue is that the Graw Guildgate is in none of our colours. It's going to allow us to maybe, like, if we do splash the Putrefy, we can possibly play the Guildgate, but yeah, it's not really something I'm happy about picking. But then, having said that, the other options are, I think the best card in the pack is the Guild Mage, and the cards for us really, Aerial Maneuver and Purge the Profane, 2 cards that I don't really want to take forth. So I am going to take the Guildgate here. Okay, right, so here then, I think we're going to take the Death Approach. We don't really have any. Well, I guess we have the Pilfered Plans at this stage. It's going to put creatures in the graveyard. But I think, yeah, I think Death Approach is probably the best card in the pack. Probably more than Smog Elemental. Having said that, I think Smog Elemental is a lot better in the 3-pack format than it was in the Gate Crash format. So, I guess Fog Elemental is also a reasonable pick here. Yeah, I think I think I'm actually going to take the Fog Elemental over the Death Approach. Normally I'd take the Death Approach higher, but I think at this stage we don't really have many cards that put cards into the graveyard, and I do think Smog Elemental is a better card in the 3-drop, in the 3-pack format. We have some options here then. Gutter Skulk versus Night's Watch, and of course then there's also Psychic Strike. I think here I'm probably going to take the Gutter Skulk, primarily because I think we don't have such a bad game going long, but I would like to have cards in the sideboard to stemmy any aggressive starts. I think both these cards are probably better than Gutter Skulk, but I think this is going to work out better for me in the early game. And I'm probably just going to take the Keymaster Rogue here, mainly because it combos with Thing Collector and the Guild Gates, so I think we can get some value from this card. And that's a pretty late gift. Both these cards, Dimir Charm and Boros Guild Gates, both cards that I want. I think I'm probably going to take the Dimir Charm here. I really do want this Guildgate. However, I don't think it's worth passing up for a Dimir Charm that's definitely going to make it into the deck. So Dimir Charm it is, begrudgingly. So that's roughly right. We didn't really get anything on the bounce. We're probably going to just hate draft the Greenside Watcher here. I think it's probably the best card in the pack, and I'd rather not have decks get fast starts. Nothing here that we really want. I'm going to take the Aerial Maneuver. And we did get a Purge the Profane, which is not a terrible card to have. Yeah, okay, let's take the Purge the Profane. And this is Spell Rupture. We're just going to round out these picks now. Okay, got another one. Okay, so that's what the deck looks like at the moment. Could be better. I don't think we really got anything good from the second pack for Orzhov. Um, and here, I guess the options are either the Trostani's Judgment or the Azorius Guildgate. I guess Chromatic Lantern's also not terrible. But I think I'm more inclined to take the Guildgate just to trigger our 3 gatekeepers. Um, I think that's probably the pick here. Okay, so options then are Stab Wound versus Guildgate, and I think Stab Wound is by far the strongest card here, so Stab Wound is the card we're taking. Just a quick note on that Tristani's Judgment pick. Whilst I do think Tristani's Judgment is a solid removal spell, I do value it slightly lower than the lower costed removal spells like Stab Wound and Dimir Charm. So I think I would take the Guildgate over that removal spell, especially as it was one that was on colour and kind of fix quite a lot of our mana problems. So here I think I'm more inclined to take... Well, actually, having said that, we have a few options. I think it's either probably between the Jailbreaker, the Arrester, and the Apparition. The Vassal, so we don't really need in our deck, as we're not really an aggressive deck. And the Skywatch, again, not really lacking in finishes yet. So I think the Jailbreaker is probably the pick here. I've been consistently impressed with this card in the 3-pack format, and if we are drafting, yeah, I think if we get another Guildgate, I think this card becomes very good. Right, okay, so hmm. Okay then, so nothing really that we want in this pack. Um, I think the options are probably either the Codex Shredder, the Fall of the Gavel, or the Soul Tithe. This card, I consistently underrate this card, and whenever it's played against me, it's generally pretty good. So I think we're going to take the Soul Tithe here. It's not something I often play, but I can respect it. Right, so again, the packs are really dry for us at the moment. Probably Eye in the Skies is probably the best card here. Okay, so here the pick then is between the Dead Reveler and the Perilous Shadow. I think the Dead Reveler is almost certainly the pick. Okay, and here then I think probably the Pegasus is what I want to take here. I think this is now the last possible pack we can get Guildgate in. looking unlikely we're going to reach to 5. Oh, but there it is. So we are going to take this guild gate over the over this creature. So yes, I guess we do also have the option now of also playing the Putrefy. And here, I think we're going to take the Perilous Shadow, which isn't a terrible card in its own right. Oh wow, so we got a guild gate back. That's incredibly surprising and quite lucky. Right, so I think we're probably going to take the Sphere of Safety here. I'm not sure we've got that many enchantments to trigger it on, but I'm not sure that we've got enough red sources to really play this card. So yeah, we're going to take the Sphere. And here I think we're going to take the Codex Shredder. And Cremate. And we're just going to round out our picks. Codex Shredder is a card that I like this card more than most. I think the story of this draft was really not getting any Orzhov in Pack 2. I think the person on our left probably went into Orzhov, though it was difficult to really predict that from what we were passing in Pack 1. But that's just how it goes in this particular format. Okay, so let's just put all the Esper cards in first, and then we'll look to see if we need to add the Putrefy. Okay, so that takes us to 21 cards, so we're going to add 2 more in. The cards I think are the options here are the I think those are the options here. Let's just look at the mana that we're going to be playing. I think perhaps we do play the Putrefy. We do have 2 sources of green, so I think maybe splashing the Putrefy might just act as a free splash. And then we have either the Soul Tithe, the Aero Maneuver, or any of the other cards. I think we already have a pretty good late game with all these 4 drops. So I think going late is not really a big problem for our deck. I think maybe just surviving the early game might be more of the issue. So I think in that case I'm probably going to main deck Soul Tithe, mainly because if you can land this in the first 4 turns, then it pretty much acts as a removal spell. Otherwise your opponent pays for it, but they fall so far behind in tempo that they pretty much give up the game. So if you can land this early, then it's a pseudo removal spell. If you go into the later turns, then it can be a dead card, but I'm still content to main deck this just as an additional way of surviving into the mid to late game. The rest of these cards, I think, especially Death the Deathless and Codex Shredder, more really suited to the long game, and aero maneuver. I don't think we really have the creatures to maybe play that card. So yeah, we're gonna run this and see how it goes. Okay, so let's just go through the mana first. We'll move that over there. So obviously black and white or Orzhov are our main colors. We also have 5 blue spells and then 1 green spell, but I don't think we're going to really look to add any more green sources. So let's just look at this. I think we really want to have 8 or 9 white sources and 8 or 9 black sources. So we already have 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'm going to add another 4 planes. And I'm going to do the same for black. We have 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'm going to add another 4 more swamps. 4. Then for blue, probably we're going to want about 6 for blue, and we already have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I'm going to add another island. And then that's more or less our mana base. So I think perhaps we may want 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I think I'm more inclined to add another plains and swamp, mainly because we have Obsidat. So we do want to hit. We do want to hit mostly swamps and plains to be able to cast this card on turn 5. So I'm just going to do that. And that's our deck. Okay, right. Let's give this a try.